Speaking of wishing for somewhere to live, this poor family, they live in the Port Macquarie region. They have applied for, get your head around this, 123 separate rental properties and been refused for all of them. And you're probably sitting at home thinking, geez, what are they, slobs? What's wrong with them? What's the go here? They're a family, mum and dad, they've got 4 kids. The husband is the carer for his mother. So they're a family of 5, 6, 7 people, right? And they have been living in a property for a while around Port Macquarie, and they complained about the fireplace, which needed to be fixed. They made multiple complaints about the fireplace, and it never got fixed. So they decided to go to NCAT, which is the Civil and Administrative Tribunal in New South Wales, as is their right as a tenant, to try and have something done about this fireplace. So in response, the landlord said, you're being evicted, so I can do the work on the house and then I want to do other personal things with it. So you've got to go elsewhere. And they have put in 123 applications, all of which have been denied. This woman says, because Amanda Jarek is her name, because it's got around town that she took the last landlord to NCAT, and she's spoken to agents, and all the agents have said, look, there's nothing wrong with your application, you're good tenants, but the landlords just don't want to take the risk because you've taken someone to NCAT, which kind of proves the point. And I'm a landlord. I say this as a landlord myself, and I try to be a decent landlord, and in the past I've not put the rent up because, you know, they're good tenants. I'd rather keep a good tenant than churn it over. But if you're not doing something that ought to be done with your property, the tenant is within their rights to go and do something about it. And to then sort of turn around and have this form of retribution where you then basically cannot get a roof over your head, and this poor family, is now having to look at like crisis homeless accommodation for somewhere to live. I just find absolutely absurd. It kind of proves just how bad the cost of living and housing crisis is in this country, because the landlords can be that picky and choosy that someone does one thing wrong, you're off forever.
Well, the sad thing is that this family was saying that some of the properties that they had actually applied to rent, that they were obviously denied from, are still sitting there on the market. So the owners would rather have it vacant than let this poor family come in and rent it off them. I think this story is just devastating, and as the mum has rightly pointed out, she never thought that she would be homeless or in this point of her life. And I think this does open up a wider discussion of what we should be having in this country, and it is the sheer size of homelessness. You know, there was a recent article on Homelessness New South Wales website, and they had said that since 2020, the sleeping rough had increased by 50%. So it is a wider discussion that we should be having in this country and in New South Wales, where this poor family are. But the fact that they can't find somewhere to live and they're going to be living in tents on a property that a friend of theirs owns, that they have to dig a hole for a toilet, but they've got running water, I just think it's just awful.
Yeah, and it's also another cost of record high immigration. You can't pump millions of extra people into the country and just not build any more houses, because it does mean the rental market is extremely tight. And when it's that tight, landlords don't feel the need to rent it out to a family like this if they can get, you know, a couple with no kids, or a single person, or, you know, someone that they deem lower risk than a large family. And it's really sad. And this is the human cost of the housing crisis, caused by, you know, slow planning, all of those supply issues, but also record demand. And it's very sad.